Welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into season 9 of Sanya On-Air. Your girl is back.
This is Sanya On-Air. This is Sanya On-Air. Are you ready? Let's go.
I have another great season of dope celebrity interviews and conversations for you to share, like, and engage in. Before we get to today's guest, let me just do a few quick reminders. Make sure that you like, make sure that you post a comment, and make sure that you subscribe to Sanya On Air streaming across major platforms. I have so many amazing guests lined up for season 9, and you want to make sure that you also hit the notification button so that as soon as I announce my next guest, you know exactly who it is before the show launches. Make sure that you take a look at my website where you can also stay connected to my Sanya On-Air celebrity content. My website is www.sanyaonair.net. Also, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Sanya_on-air. I want to dedicate this show to my recently departed mother, Deborah Hudson Payne. May you rest in power. Just a brief moment of silence for my mom. Love her dearly, Deborah Hudson Payne. I am welcoming all of your prayers as I embark upon one of the biggest fights of my life. So make sure that you stay tuned to Sanya On Air and make sure that you follow me on Instagram so you can know exactly what I am talking about. So I have a great guest for you today. Now, you've seen this amazing actor starring as Uncle Jerome, but his real name is Amin Joseph. Can I get an amen? He is setting the small screen on fire. This is what happens in this pandemic. How are you handling the pandemic?
I mean, we're all handling it right. Each day we taking it each day at a time, counting our blessings more than our losses. And I feel like hopefully, hopefully around the summer, this is a better experience for everybody as far as the social distancing and all the protocols. Hopefully we can get back to work, get back to having fun. Still making sure that we keep the vulnerable people safe.
Yes. But before we get into the meat and the bones of this conversation, I wanted to rewind because I gave you your flowers, but then the internet was acting up. So once again, I want to acknowledge that yesterday was your birthday. So go show it. It's your birthday. We go party like it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
You can find me. Right. That's where you can't find me right now in the club. But I had a birthday, spent it with my family, and love showering in from all over the country, all over the world. It was dope.
That's great. Now, if you're anything like me, I celebrate the entire month for my birthday. Are you the same, or are you just a one-day birthday person?
Yeah, I'm more of a one-day birthday, but I spread it out. I'll go out throughout the month and still have birthday, some toast, some drinks and all that. But I'm not the person that's making the whole month plans and all that.
Well, I am. So I won't hold that against you at all. Yes, the whole month of July. I'm a Leo, so that should explain a lot.
Oh. Okay.
Explains a lot. So, I heard through the grapevine that you were also born and raised here in New York City. Is that true?
Right. I was born in Queens, Rockaway, Queens. I grew up in Harlem.
In Harlem. Wow. So all New Yorkers, they are part of hip hop culture. That is like a second language. Who is your favorite rapper?
Mm. Favorite rapper? Wow. It's
Yes.
probably it's probably it's probably Big. Because that was my times growing up. When I was in the club, like when I was growing up, like Biggie was I'm like Dipset era, DMX era, Nori, you know, like that was my times. So I would say Biggie is the artist that I probably know the most word for word, line for line song, you know.
That's true. That was a little test for you, Amen. I just wanted to see if you were a real true New Yorker and if you were going to name a New York rapper as your favorite New York rapper. So you have passed the test.
Well, New
You
York,
passed the test.
it's about your borough. You know what I mean? Like your top five got to be from your borough, basically, in New York.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. Other
I like
places,
to learn that yeah, I was happy to learn that you had a little Harlem in there because when you said Queens, we kind of look at Queens a little fugazi here in New York, but you good money. You good money. We got to get this audio together. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to proceed with this conversation. Also in Harlem, you interned at the Apollo Theater. I believe that internships are so, so important for people to figure out their craft. Tell us about your experience interning at the Apollo and exactly what did you do there?
wow, like that was my first like segue into entertainment, like looking at the wizard behind the curtain, like just seeing how the stage performance, how it was put together. I would be able to be in the throngs backstage watching the performers get ready. I've done everything there from bartend to usher to have summer youth jobs there. There was a program in New York when I was coming up called Summer Youth for kids to have like a job it's by the parks department. They used to have it. I don't know if they still have the program, but
Mm-hmm.
me and my best friend got a job at the Apollo, and yeah, it's the epicenter of Black art, creativity, and entertainment. So much legacy there that I was able to soak up while I was in there. From music performers to playwrights to you know, it's just a plethora of all of the Black art that came through there. It was just it fills me up, you know what I mean? And it gave me a good platform. It gave me a good foundation at a young age.
Yeah, the energy at the Apollo, not only inside the Apollo doors, but just walking in front of the Apollo, it is like the energy of iconic figures just kind of spill into your aura, and you just want to do something great because you know that you just walked past something that was great. So, when you interned at the Apollo, did you have any idea that you wanted to enter into the world of entertainment?
I did, and not perhaps not when I first worked there, because like I said, my first job there, I was probably like 14. But by the time I was about 16, by the time I was graduating high school, I knew what I wanted to do and realized that the experience I was getting in the Apollo would help. I didn't realize it to the extent that I realize it now, of course, but I did realize, like, wow, this is a good vantage point for me to be able to see um, just the opportunity to be able to see something that you want to achieve. You may not know the steps in between, but to be able to see the finished product um, is helpful. It's helpful for ways not to go and ways to go as well.
And a part of your early journey, just fast forwarding a few years to your early teenage, well, the latter part of your teenage years, you also attended Howard University. Did you go to Howard University and study acting as well?
Yeah, I studied theater arts there. Yeah.
Theater arts, great. Now this is a whole New York question too. Just kind of, I'm going to be jumping from era to era. But what high school did you attend in New York City?
I went to Rice High School in Harlem.
You know
Rice.
they closed that down, right?
Yeah, they closed it several years ago now. But
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few graduating classes after me, but yeah, at the time, it's a Catholic school, archdiocese school, all black boys, Rice men are worth it. We had a great dean by the name of Orlando Gober. He actually had a book called When the Streetlights Come On, and it was about, basically
Mm.
trying to get us boys into the house off the streetlights come on. And Rice High School was it's part of the man that I am today. We got a great education there. I got it in my community with my brothers, that look like me, intelligent men, 100% graduation rate, like 90% college bound guys that came from the neighborhood. So, yeah, really instrumental in who I am.
Yeah, I had a few friends that attended Rice University, Rice High School, and
We threw,
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said we threw the best parties. If you came
And
up
you
and
had the best basketball. You
came
had
to
the
any parties, I
best
used to throw.
basketball players too, but that was in my former life. We're not gonna go there.
Oh, you hoop? Okay.
We're not gonna go there. That was in my former life. Okay. Okay. But I love to hear, the journey of Black men and how excellence was poured into them and how, they are used as an example for other people to see so that we can kind of model and mirror their lives. So, I applaud you for just talking about your educational journey at Rice High School in New York City and then at Howard University. Howard University has really produced some amazing stars. When you were there, what other celebrities that we now know of today attended school with you too?
Wow. While I was there, my upperclassman, one class above me, is Chadwick Boseman, the late great Chadwick. Susan Watson, that's on This Is.
Mhm.
Wow, it's so many. While I was there, Tracy Toms. Yeah, I can't think of everybody, but each year, Frenchie Davis. Each year, Maika St. Aubin, Gabrielle Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot. There's just a lot. We flood the board with talent coming out of Howard each year. I'm lucky enough to be able
Yeah.
to mentor some young men that are actors there now, and hopefully we continue that legacy.
I'm sure you will. The reason why I asked you that question, Amen, is because I really want my audience to understand Black excellence. And Howard University has been ringing bells for so many years. And I wanted you to mention the graduates from Howard University that are now prominent and influential entertainers, because people need to know where to go to if they want to tap into Black excellence. So that is the main reason why I asked you that question. So thank you for sharing. I want to transition now into the conversation that has everyone talking. Your character as Uncle Jerome on FX's Snowfall. Tell us a little about your character, Uncle Jerome.
Well, Uncle Jerome is part of the Saint family, and his nephew, played by Damson Idris, Franklin Saint, is pretty much the largest supply of rock cocaine in the world, especially as we enter, as we just concluded season 4. And I'm his uncle that basically got him into the game, small time hustling weed. And he's taken his entrepreneur enterprise just to another level, unfathomable level. And he's working hand in hand with the CIA at this point, because the CIA has for geopolitical reasons flooded the inner cities with cheap rock to fund a war between the Contras and the Sandinistas in South America. So that's kind of like the 30,000-foot view of the show, and my character involvement, not seeing that grand scale, honestly, until about now, the fourth season, that my character is really comes to the wits of really the implications of where we get this drug, why it's so cheap, but we're stuck in the kind of catch-22 of being, pretty much forced to sell it at this point.
Yeah.
When we originally started out, it was to get rich and hopefully find a off ramp. But at this point, they're all in.
Right. What I love about your character is we saw a spark and we saw a deeper meaning of your character at the end of season 3, but most definitely all throughout season 4. We saw where there was sort of like a moral conflict with Uncle Jerome. So I just want to talk about that a little bit more. When Amin met Uncle Jerome. So we saw a conflict where your girlfriend on the show, Aunt Louie, where she was shot, and you were conflicted with, did you want revenge? Have you ever in your real life faced some sort of experience where your primal instinct surfaced and your morals and your ethics went out the window?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll share it. I told you where I'm from, so I got quite a pass. But yeah, I think that I mean, a lot of times actors we pull from personal, or there's a lot of imagination that goes into portraying a role, the spirit of a Jerome Saint, but at the same time, you're pulling experiences, you're pulling things from your personal life too. And yeah, there's definitely been situations where I've been caught between a rock and a hard place, but of what the primal, what the gut reaction, retaliation. And I think that's just a learning curve. What's really scary about that as a Black man in this country is that oftentimes you don't have an opportunity to rectify the mistake of going down that road. I have been fortunate to, like you say, have people, monument of people, like stewards of love that would be in those places. Those people showed up, like the dean I talked about earlier. Different professors, different people in the community that when you find yourself in trouble, because sometimes we're just going to react, and you got to learn that the hard way, that blowing up the world because of a situation isn't the long view. And like I said, unfortunately, when you're young, things are right. The problem at hand seems like it's the entire world. Hopefully, as with age, there's some sage wisdom enough to be able to respond rather than react. So yeah, I've been in those situations before, and I'm lucky enough to have done some things that I shouldn't have done, paid the consequence of those actions, live to tell this story now, and not have it destroy my life. And then on the other hand, I've had the grace also to respond and not react, and to be and let my cooler head prevail.
I want to briefly discuss an incident that recently happened with 15-year-old Micaiah Bryant, where the officer approached the scene and he saw 15-year-old Micaiah in Columbus, Ohio, with a knife in the midst of a fight, and he shot and killed her. I want to ask you this question because recently DJ Envy on the popular New York City syndicated show, The Breakfast Club, said that the officer was justified in shooting and killing Micaiah Bryant because she had a knife in her hand. How do you feel about that?
Quite honestly, I don't speak on what another man says out his mouth, because he has his reasons to voice that opinion. You know, someone asked him that opinion. I don't even know the context of it, but I don't talk on other people. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea. I saw that. I saw the shooting. Like all of these shootings, these police killings, it disturbed me. And my visceral reaction was anger, was that it seemed, I mean, the clip that I saw, the dude showed up and within seconds, he blasted the young woman. Now, I know that they were fighting and things, and I don't know all of the circumstances, but I think we as a nation have realized, I think we as a nation realize that this ugliness, this continues to happen. We've noticed that since, Joe Biden has been inaugurated, we haven't seen anything on the books that really address this issue head on, of citizens being gunned down, perhaps prematurely. If we should be gunned down at all, because to get into the whole thing of whether or not someone has the right to take a life, that's just really, I think we need to rethink the whole thing. I remember when people were first talking about defund and abolish, the normal response is, what are you talking about? How are you going to defund or abolish the police? But I think that a lot of people have become educated on the policy. I think some of the things that are moving through the legislative branch, and it's just more than reform that we need at this point. When these things continue to happen, the same day, the same week, every day. There's a great film on Netflix right now. It's called Two Distant Strangers. It just won an Oscar. It's by Trayvon Free. It's produced by Nick Few, Jesse Williams. That's just a few of the producers on it. It won an Oscar this past weekend, and I would implore anyone to check out the film. It's on Netflix. It's a short film, but it deals with this ongoing problem with police altercations, police brutality, this cycle that we're in. We all know that enough is enough. It's on an international stage. And the world is watching us to see what we do again with us. It always comes down to us. I know that there's a lot of Asian bills that came throughout the COVID times, rightfully so. We need to see something that addresses this.
So true. So I didn't even realize that Netflix short film existed until I saw who won at the Oscars. So as you're talking, it makes me think about the dilemma that we often face in media. Why didn't we hear more about that short film? But we are bombarded and, just stimulus overload with shows like Snowfall that really talks about how the CIA brought drugs or crack cocaine into LA. Why don't we see and hear about more films like Two Strangers? Is that what it's called?
Two Distant Strangers.
Two
Well,
Distant
two
Strangers.
made as a response to the George Floyd killing. So this was a project that actually was made during the pandemic. I think they wrapped the film up sometime either early fall, I think, and it was I don't know if they just made the cutoff for Oscar consideration. I know that the film was originally denied for Sundance, which is interesting.
Mm.
But I think that I think it isn't this kind of like conspiracy about the film. The film actually had distribution on Netflix before it won the Oscar, and this is a short film. We're not even talking about a feature length film. So I don't think that someone's been like covering the film up or that people don't know about it. It's just that I'm in the industry, so I kind of know about these things because they're some of the filmmakers are my personal friends. But it's out for everyone to see, and it deals with what we're talking about. This cycle. It feels like Groundhog's Day, but real lives are in the balance here. So, you know, again, what we were talking about earlier, like responding or reacting, right? We realize that at this point that we have to do both. And, you know, this country to me, this country, um, if this country does not support the narrative that law enforcement was created as slave patrol, if that's the
Mm-hmm.
narrative that you don't want to own, you want to
Right.
own that for everyone's, you know, justice or every policy, enforcement, then right now they got a bad PR campaign.
Yes.
It looked like a duck and it's quacking like a duck right now, and it's been like that. So yeah, I would love to see some change, with the entire system.
Me too. Me too. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that short film because I heard that they won, but I wasn't sure what it was about. And now that you've told us what it's about, I will definitely, take a look at it. And I don't know if this is correct, but I believe Ava DuVernay's brother had something to do with that short film. Is that correct?
Yeah, Nick Few, that's the producer. That's the friend of mine. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. Trayvon
Cool.
Free is the writer and director, and as well, it stars Joey Badass. I can't think of the name of the actress right now, but it's really well done, and it kind of is what we expect. It's kind of like, what do we do if we put our hands outside the window? It's wrong.
Hmm.
If
Right.
we
Right.
So I don't want to give away the plot to the film, but it has almost this Groundhog's Day feel of no matter what we do, we end up on the wrong side of this, and then there's a
Yeah.
conversation that happens, and that conversation is the conversation that we need to have in America.
Most definitely. I think the conversations are gaining momentum because we are living in constant anxiety where just walking out of your front door could potentially mean that you won't come home. So the conversations have definitely strengthened. Now, what cloth are you cut from? Are you cut from the Malcolm X or the Martin Luther King Jr. cloth?
I get what you're saying in that, but some would say that's the same cloth. You feel me? So I don't know. I think I'm a I'm a composite of all of the past civil rights activists and freedom fighters, people that fought for our for our own dignity, respect, and freedoms. Um, yeah, I think we study everything. We should study all of our ancestors that paved the way
Hmm.
for people to live in some sort of dignity. These men fought. You know, I don't know if I'm cutting one particular cloth of those gentlemen. I think they both deserve respect as ancestors that literally bled for me and you know and for me to be able to have any sort of legacy on this in this land.
No, I answered that question because that is definitely a question that has been a part of our conversations within the community. You know, who are you more like, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King? And I'm just like, why can't we be the sum total of all of our great leaders? Why do I have to pick and choose who I'm more like instead of saying, well, you know, at 3 o'clock I may be Sojourner Truth. You know, at 5 o'clock I might be Maya Angelou. You know,
That's
at 10
right.
o'clock I might be Malcolm X. You know, so I wanted you to raise that critical point so people don't have to choose a black side. Black sides are on both sides. We don't have to choose. We are the sum total of every greatness that came before us and that will come after us. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But let's talk about the pandemic a little bit, because a great show to me can stand the test of time. This show has been impacted in two ways. One, by the death of John Singleton, and two, like I mentioned, the pandemic. Did you see any disruption in filming or the feel, the tone of the cast once you started filming for season 4? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we end up getting shut down mid March, around either 12th or the 15th of March, somewhere in between there. We end up shutting down like every pretty much big industry did. I think we followed behind. Like the NBA was like the first big
Mm-hmm.
league to shut down, and our entertainment in Los Angeles shut down, you know, right after. And we didn't come back until we didn't resume until I think it was maybe like October, the first the 1st of October. So, you know, during that time we were doing what everyone else in the world was doing, figuring out what this is and how to protect our own loved ones. Remember, we have an international cast, so some people had to get back home. People had to, you know, it was, you know, it was like how everyone was dealing with this pandemic, dealing with the reality of what are you going to do day to day, try to stay informed and protect yourself. So that was first and foremost. And yes, we had come back already and done maybe about 3 episodes, and that was the first. This was the first new season without John, but we lost John in about episode 7 of season 3. So we were somewhat getting used to not having him for this season, which was surreal and something to kind of get over. And then the pandemic came, and then, you know, you lose actors, things have to adjust because of the protocols of how we shoot, you know, the amount of actors that could be in one facility, the type of, you know, the type of PPE that you would have to wear, the amount of testing that we would have to go through, and the fact that, you know, there's no guarantee that you don't, you know, get COVID. So we actually had one brief work stoppage, but everything else pretty much it was smooth sailing, and I think people just came and gave their best. That's what I really feel like. I feel like people that the performers. You got to remember we have a crew that gets to any sound stage that we're on, anywhere from 5 to 10 hours before us setting up. These are jobs that people need. These are how many folks do we know that can go 6 months, 7 months without a paycheck, you know so although the us as the actors, we are the ones that have to take off our PPE and actually be the most exposed. At the end of the day, there's so many other people that were giving their time, sacrificing their safety to get this done as well. So I always like to acknowledge those people. And then we got through it. We ended up wrapping up February, the top of February. So it took almost a whole calendar year to shoot these 10 episodes.
Wow.
So, I've talked to some people and they're like, "Oh, this is a great season and it's one of the better seasons." And for people to feel like that, knowing what we had to do behind the scene to get it right, to me shows that, the type of crew we have, the type of cast we have, really egoless group we have, which I'm fortunate to be around.
I loved it. And to me, so far, season 4 is definitely the best season to date, because now we really feel like we know the characters. We can bring them home. We can invite them to the barbecue, but your character, Uncle Jerome, or Jerome Saint, we were able to unpack. We didn't just see, the gangster side of him. We saw a loving side of him. We saw him with a conscience. We saw him with morals. Did you have anything to do with the development of your character from season 1 all the way up to the end of season 4?
Yeah, I mean, I would say of course, but the showrunner, Dave Andron, the other writers, Walter Mosley, John Singleton as a creator, all of our EPs, they know the story that they are telling. You get me? So it's really my job to come in and execute and bring my je ne sais quoi, bring what is, unique about Amin's portrayal. And because once you inhabit that portrayal, of course, people are going to take things, I have a wow.
It's okay.
The whole thing clear. Where can I take that back from? Where can I take that back?
What Amin brought to the character?
Oh, what did I bring to the character?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Like, did you bring a certain tone and inflection? Did you bring certain mannerisms? What did you, Amin, bring to Uncle Jerome?
Yeah, I think that's, I would implore anybody that hasn't seen Snowfall to check it out. I bring everything to that character. I put my foot in that character. It's more than a character to me. So, I got to meet the men that this particular character is based on. I got to use my own uncles and my cousins growing up in the 80s. I got to use people that I know that used to sell crack, people that used to use crack, people that still use crack. It's just, it's real, you know what I mean? Like, it's, for me, it's a pleasure to play the character and to layer the character with all the stuff, the emotion, the charisma, you know the 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 anger, the hopelessness, the greed, the loving, the stubborn. It's all of that. It's everything. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's a hard. What do I bring to it? I bring me to it. I bring, um, probably over 100,000 to 150,000 hours of preparation as an actor, working on my craft to be able to tell stories about my own people and tell it in a unabashed, unapologetic, truth to power type of way, to own my humanity and my masculinity and tell that story. So yeah, so that's what I bring. And then I show up and read the script and then see how I can, you know, merge the two. And so far it's been
I'm sure that's not easy. That's not easy, Amen, because if you have a character where you can kind of pull your personal experiences from, is it hard or is it easy to unpack and remove those mannerisms and go home? Because you have a wife, right? Like, do you ever bring Uncle Jerome, Jerry curl and all, and wife beater? Do you ever bring that home to your wife and she has to say, listen, honey, I need you to leave that back on set and be Amen for me?
nah. But there may be, there may be some time. Like I think there was once this yeah, there was once during episode, I think, what was it, 8, between 8 and 9, because we shot things in a block this year. So probably episode 8, 9, 10 of this season, because we shoot, in we shoot usually we shoot on locations, like a lot of different locations with this show. We don't have like usually a set, but with this particular season, because of COVID, they build a lot of sets out for um for a lot of our locations. So it kind of compact the shooting schedule in a way that
Mm-hmm.
of the things weren't shot they things weren't shot as much in sequence. You could be shooting something from episode 10 before you had done whatever from episode 9 perhaps. And
Mm.
because of that, sometimes some of the more charged scenes could be back to back according to location, according to a whole bunch of things for the shooting schedule and trying to just get through this COVID thing. So so there was a time where, I had to tell my wife, like, okay, babe, this next week or these next 2 weeks are gonna be, you don't know what I'm talking about, but Louis about to die, and I go and fight you, and it's physical scenes, it's killing scenes, is a thing that we haven't seen from Jerome, this particular type of,
Yeah.
you that kind of man on fire type of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think as an artist, what's most important, it would be great. That's why a lot of times artists like to be like off on location somewhere, because you can kind of be away from your family. If you playing
Mm-hmm.
path or you're having a sociopathic moment like Jerome had,
Yeah.
you don't want to be able
Yeah.
to, you don't want to necessarily take that off just because I'm coming home. I want to hold on to that so I can show up tomorrow
Mm.
in that same thing. So sometimes
Right.
when you shoot where you live, sometimes you're like, okay, you're coming home and I just did those scenes and I'm murdering people and I'm highly charged, and then you come home and it's like daddy. It's a different. You got to be able to work with that, and that's just the balance. That's just the professional thing. Self-care is really important. Mental health is really important with whatever we do in life. And for actors, it really is. I've been working with this character for about 5 years now. So to
Right.
say those mannerisms or anything, those mannerisms come from me, but they've been enforced, and I pick them up for about 7 months out of the year, each year. So yeah, that character, that portrayal rather, it's part of who I am. But I think the sane and healthy actor is one that enjoys life more than any character that they would ever put on. And that's what makes us professionals, being able to get in and get out of them.
Got you. Now, I just want to talk about the various storylines. And do you feel there have been storylines on Snowfall that haven't been developed? There was a storyline, I forgot what season it was, where we saw what would have happened if Franklin never sold drugs or got into the drug business with the CIA and he went off to college. I was just like, okay, I was expecting to see something else, in the next season. So has there ever been a storyline that you wish the writers will have developed a little bit more?
I mean, that's a tough one because, the finished product that you guys get is so different than the different iterations, the different ideas that, these different realities. It's funny that you mentioned that particular episode that was 310 of last year. It was kind of like this alternate universe, right? You got to think when the writers are coming up with these episodes and the character arcs and all of, they have, they go through hundreds, thousands of different scenarios of where characters can go. And then some of them, get deduced to the script, like they're on page, they're in black and white. And then sometimes those things change and the script changes. And then sometimes we shoot that thing and then it's taken out of the story, it's taken out of the episode, or it's so there's so many for most actors, definitely the writers, there's so many different timelines I have. There's so many different possibilities of if we would have, choose your own adventure and went down this line, because so that's really tough for me. If I had to pull one, oh, okay. So if I had to pull one, there was once an idea that Jerome would be a boxer at one point in time. I know, right? Talking about like backyard brawl, knuckle game. Yeah, that was once an idea. Let's just say that idea. So
yeah,
to me,
I'm glad they left that one alone.
Whoa, where's that coming from? Left field. But yeah. That was one that even when it was told to me, I was like, really? Like, okay.
Right.
Never made it to script, But perhaps that's one of the, I would have loved filming it though, because I like boxing and that's my shit. So
Gotcha. Now I have a question about season 4, because I picked up on something and I don't know if it's true and if it will be explored in season 5. But at the end of season 4, episode 10, where we saw Sissy and Alston, they flew to Cuba. That was Cuba, right? That they went to?
Mm-hmm. It was Cuba.
Okay, so when they went to Cuba, then they wake up early. They wake up early in the morning, and Sissy fully dressed, and she leaves. And then you see the CIA agent Teddy come in to shoot and kill Alston. I was under the impression that Sissy kind of knew that Alston was about to be murdered, and she chose to leave. Is that true?
I can't. That might give some spoil. I let's. I'll walk
So
down the.
you
I'll,
don't have to say.
I'll walk down the possibilities with you. I'll walk down the possibilities. That's a possibility. There's also the possibility that they went to Cuba together. Um, and Teddy needed a drop on Alton because he didn't want to kill Sissy. So Sissy, you know, without any type of you know, underhand slide thing, went to go get something, from the market, and this was a time for Teddy to make his drop because he didn't want to kill both the parents. That's
Mm,
also walk down that lane. You know what I mean? Because if he and her were there together, then more than likely you deal with Teddy having to take out Sissy, and I don't think that would ride with Franklin well, having both of his parents taken out. I don't know about his dad, you know. So I don't know. You got a point. I just made it.
but just speaking of that character, Alton, I love the fact that the writers presented this moral dilemma because Alton, he remembered his morals and ethics from being a part of the Black Panther Party movement in the early 60s. And this is what compelled him to want to get Franklin out of the game. But once Alton started to have morals and ethics, the viewers turned on him.
Oh yeah.
And it pulled at our emotions so much. And this is what a great show does. It makes you sometimes choose a side even though it's wrong. So just impeccable writing. What do you hope for your character in season 5?
Hmm. Um, you know, I'm honestly open. I hope in season 5, I really hope that everything that I'm working on during our break, just to stay sharp, uh, that all the projects that I do in between, that all of the time that I take, still training and still being and becoming the best actor that I can, that I'm able to use all of those tools to tell the story that John and the writers left a roadmap to tell. You know, I don't like to go in self-servingly thinking, oh, I would like to see my character do this and that. I think part of the part of the contrast that you see in Jerome, part of the growth is that growth that I'm able to inform the material with. So I think that no matter what I do come season 5, I think it's going to be dynamic. I think it's going to be, you know, going to be growth there. It's going to be a new beginnings in a sense because of him and Louis, where we kind of left off at the end of this season. So I think that there will definitely be a new energy, and that'll bring about, probably different behavior, different circumstances. And I'm just open to getting that next season and gobbling up that material and then telling this story. That at the end of the day, that's what really means something to me at this point with the Snowfall, is just completing what we started for the big ancestor, making sure that his bound volume is complete, and however I can, you know, whether you never know in this game, I can be clipped at any time. So I just wanted to make sure that whatever work that I'm doing is solid, solid. And I told the story of men like Jerome Saint in 1985, those men that we know, those uncles of mine, cousins, and those brothers, and like that. I just give a fair portrayal of those men, bring humanity to those men, show those men on the small screen in a close up, show their humanity, show, you know, yeah, yeah, that's what matters most to me, and just being prepared for that.
Got it. Got it. So we already know the soundtrack of Uncle Jerome on FX's Snowfall. If you could name the title soundtrack song for Amin Joseph, what would the title of that soundtrack be?
Soundtrack song.
Yes.
I don't know, but the song that I really like it got me on the path to be able to be the actor that I am today. Take accountability and responsibility for my career and my craft is Slippin' by DMX. And when I was still in New York before I moved to LA, I was young boy, and I remember, I had become disenchanted with acting because I was blaming the world, blaming anything, blaming the fake, just blaming that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. And it took me looking myself in the mirror and going, bro, you in your own way, ability for what you say you want to do. And the song Slippin' at the time used to get wild high back then. And I remember just, he got a verse in there like, look at the video to say to myself that could have been yo. And I used to look TV and be looking and seeing people that I went to school with, or that I've been in acting class, people that I've done auditions, been in the same rooms with, and they were winning. I would see them pop up on TV. And I never liked the fact that I was envious. I was angry. I looked at them and said, yo, that could be me. But I wasn't doing the things to do that. I rather wanted to look at their image. That ain't even them. They're somewhere living their life. I was looking at their image, and that image made me feel bad. And I said, wow, that's a powerful thing. So I decided in that time to, instead of looking at that and being envious, and looking at that and being like, yo, I'm better than them. Or, I know I'm better than, if I had the shot, I'd be killing it. But they use the same people, all the excuses. I say, you know what? Nah, man, I'm gonna get this thing all that I have. I'm gonna work hard. I know I ain't working hard as I can. I know I'm not turning over every rock. I know I'm not educating myself and putting myself in there. So that's what I did. I decided to and that slipping song, Slipping and Falling, I Can't Get Up, was kind of like that thing that made me feel like, all right, bro, get back on your feet so you can tear shit up, basically. Damn, look how that rock got him. Open like a window, no window. Look at the video, say to myself, that could have been you. If it's on the TV, believe me, it could be done. Something got to change. Cause I got a son. I gotta do the right thing for shorty. That means no more getting high. Drinking 40 so I get back. Looking tight, slick again. Right? So niggas jump back on my dick again. So yeah, that song, I don't know about a song soundtrack for a life, but a lot of times songs or certain energies can get you from a place of stagnation, because that's where I was. I was stagnant. I was looking at other people do shit that I wanted to do in life. And since I didn't want to confront myself with it, when I looked at them, I saw a reflection of what I wasn't. So
Mm.
it made me hate. It made me be like, oh, they not even good. I'm better than that. And if they didn't use the same people all the time, or if, like the game is whack and all of that. So, yeah, that song, I remember like sitting on the couch, just seeing people I went to school with, or seeing people I had been in classes with, or been at auditions with, doing what I wanted to do. So it took me to have that type of experience of sitting there and going, yo, all right, well, you could sit here and keep the excuses, or you could do everything in your power, everything you can imagine. You can turn over every rock, get at it. And I chose to do that. So yeah, that song meant a lot to me, because that was the feeling that I was in before doing it. But that song kind of had that inspiration in it of like, yo, you know,
Well, I'm glad Los Angeles hasn't tainted you and you still have your New York, vibe. You can't let go of that. Just using DMX's song as inspiration, as a testimony to how you changed your life around. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot more people need to self-reflect and get out of their own way. It's possible. So if you weren't acting, what do you think you would be doing?
hmm, I don't know. I don't know.
So
That's
there's
how
no
that's
plan B.
that's how in it I am. But whatever I would do something that makes me feel as good as this. Something that make me feel as full and as purposeful, and something that keeps me inspired, and looking at life, looking at the miracle that life is, rather than, oh, it's just another day, you know, just
Got you.
another day, another dollar, just
Yes.
painting, just surviving. That was the mentality of why when I was on the couch looking at the TV. So I had to believe in the miracle of like, yo, not listening to what people said, like, oh, you might this, you don't got this, or you don't got that, or who told you gonna act, bro? Like what? You know what I mean? Like I had to get that noise out and believe in the thing that is just, let's just be real, unbelievable. I know I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You feel me? So whatever I did, whatever I would do that isn't this, would be something else that would be crazy. That make no sense, that I should pursue, or that I should be successful at, but something that would fill me up and make me look at every day like the miracle that it is. That's what I would do.
So along the same lines, if you could write your dream role, what role and what character would that be?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know what that role would be. I think that the role would give me the feeling that I just spoke to you about, though. You know what I mean? To me, the role itself, that's too much. That's trying to play God, trying to like, oh, it's this, that. I could definitely say that there's, like autobiographical stories or biographical stories, like maybe Jack Johnson or say Marcus Garvey.
Really?
So there's some dope stories that we haven't told. Stuff from the Kingdom of Kush, Mansa Musa, the Ethiopians. Like there's a lot of we have such a rich history all over the world. So there's plenty of things that I could just kind of grasp at like that. But more importantly, it's the feeling.
Mm.
It's the feeling of being able to soak, like I said, all that time, all of that intention, all of that spirit into the work at hand, and to go into that as fearless as I can, and then fuck it.
Just having this conversation with you, I came up with the title for your life soundtrack.
What's that?
Culturally Motivated.
Culturally motivated. I like that.
Because everything that you spoke about, it had a reason, and it tied into the greatness that came before you, the people who are in your current life that impact you and influence you to make your next step. So you are culturally motivated. So that's the soundtrack I'm going to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one last thing.
I'm dropping stuff. I like that.
I'd have made you drop the mic.
Yo.
Uh-oh. I have that effect on people. Don't worry about it. I got that effect on people. Give us your social media handle. What's your IG?
My IG is Amin Joseph. I'm basically Amin Joseph on all social media platforms.
Why aren't you following anyone on Instagram?
Can't follow. Can't be a follower. This work that I really want to do. It ain't, it's not connected to blue checks. It ain't, really. I mean, if you really see me on Instagram or wherever I'm at, I try to engage with people. I use this craft to connect to people, but social media isn't what I love most. What I love is playing the role and connecting to people, in the flesh, and having that one-on-one with people. So I kind of, I'm active on there, but as far as the whole following, follow back, this and that, it's not
too much.
Yeah, it's not what is, again, it's not my passion. It's
not mentally healthy either.
I like to stay close to the things that make me feel good, passionate about. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Not only did we get to learn more about your character, Uncle Jerome, but we got to know more about the man behind or in front of the camera, Amin Joseph. And I just want to say, amen. Continued blessings. Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you so much for your social responsibility to be culturally motivated. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
I dedicate this episode of Sanya On-Air to my recently departed mother, Deborah Hudson Payne. May you rest in power.